I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Erik Jacobson. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
Fantastic, Angel. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's a great pleasure to connect. What parts of the world are you in right now, Erik?
I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Please do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time.
Yeah, I think it probably could either be my podcast marketing and PR company called Be My Guest, or a directory that we put together of the best business podcasts ever called Startup Mixtape.
Ooh, Startup Mixtape. Sounds great. Yeah, I think it's definitely the podcast keyword, right? So tell us about the both, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So Be My Guest is basically a podcast guest marketing agency where we get entrepreneurs and authors and consultants booked on podcasts. As you know, as a podcaster, podcasting and podcast guest appearances is a great way to market your products and services. So we help people with that.
Yeah, definitely a great way. I think it's taking off, isn't it? The value that individuals are getting from visiting, if you would, podcast and sharing their stories with the audience that the podcaster has.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, it feels like podcasting has been around for a long time, because I guess it has. And so it hasn't really had this viral effect of taking over, in a few short years when it first got started in the mid 2000s. But it's kind of having this resurgence now because the technology is getting easier and people are able to download shows easier and find them and stuff like that. And it's just saving people time. So I think we're still in the early days, and I think it's just going to continue to get more popular.
Yeah, I think so as well. But I think most definitely the podcaster doesn't care, right? Like, and I'm saying like he loves what he does, right? He or she loves what they do, right? And they're going to do it. They're going to continue doing it, whether or not the market is in demand for it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's key. Like, honestly, the amount of shows. So I pay attention to literally hundreds of podcasts every week, and just kind of pay attention to the whole market and ecosystem. And it's interesting how many shows start and they come out with a fury of marketing and press and stuff like that, only to a few months later actually shut down. And, I think that that's probably a case of seeing an opportunity to start a podcast as a good vehicle to promote their business or their products and services, but they don't really love the medium, like you do. You've done a ton of interviews, and it's clear you love it, so you're just going to continue to do it.
Yeah.
So it's tough to do unless you really love it, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's like it's like having a child. That's the type of work it is.
I don't know that one yet, but I can assume it's very similar.
Yeah, most definitely. No, you definitely have a charm about you, Erik, which I think is something that goes with being a guest, if you would, right? A charm that means you're interacting and you're the medium, right, between the guest and the podcaster. Who did you learn that skill from? Yeah,
that's a good question. Honestly, just a lot of trial and error. So I quit my job 3 years ago, and podcasting was a big catalyst for doing that. Podcasting showed me what's possible, honestly, in business. And so I quit my job, and having done that 3 years ago, it's just been a long journey of trial and error, getting to this point now. So testing things out, seeing what works and what doesn't, and eventually being able to find a service that resonates with people and is valuable, but also I have the ability to deliver a really top tier experience, because my whole philosophy is going above and beyond and over delivering. And even when it's harder and it takes longer. Yeah. And so it's just been a lot of trial and error, honestly.
Yeah, it reminds me of so in Trinidad we have hotel school, right, where they teach you how to be customer service oriented. And I definitely get the feel through the way you've delivered what you're serving. It's definitely that, right? It's like a servant leadership type model that you need to put in there. Am I accurate or am I off with this?
Absolutely. And it goes both ways. Like, it's not just about your client. It's also about, so for us, we're getting them on podcasts. So it's about our relationship with the podcaster too. So we take the utmost care to present our client to the podcaster in an authentic way, while also trying to provide value to them. So we don't only look at our side. We look at who the recipient and what their perspective is on what we're trying to accomplish as well. Because we don't want to just be perceived as some spammers or, not authentic in the way we're approaching people. So we think of both sides.
Yeah, hospitality. That's the word.
Absolutely.
Hospitality. Yep. Yeah. Definitely there are challenges with that. Like, I've bounced it up a few times. You're being nice, you're offering something that is of great value. And because you're offering it, some people think, oh, that's of no value, right? So you get the response, right? Oh my, the hurtful responses. But why will you continue to repeat the skill of hospitality in spite of?
Yeah, it comes down to, that's just my belief that in the long run, when you look at all of the times you're going to, have an instance where you could use hospitality, I think over the long run, it's going to win. You will have occasions where people may take advantage of you, or you may feel like you got the short end of the stick. But I just think that comes down to ego and not having a big ego. And so if you can just be the bigger person and just continue to operate based on, your core values, which is hospitality, which is one of mine, then I think in the long run, you're going to win, and that'll pay off, because word of mouth spreads. And that's, that's the word of mouth that you want to have, is that you are really great at customer service and hospitality.
Where's the best place for someone to connect with you if they're interested on getting on podcasts?
Yeah, that'd be at bemyguest.fm, and you can just hit us up there.
Wonderful. Well, tell me, Erik, one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
Yeah, honestly, I think that is probably just working really hard. Kind of goes back to what we said before, is doing the hard thing that I don't think anybody else is doing. So an example is I actually, when I first quit my job 3 years ago, I was able to get a deal with Tim Ferris, who's a big podcaster and author. And the way I did that is by doing a project I thought that he would think is cool. And it took me about 20 hours to do. He didn't tell me to do it. I did it, and I just sent it to him and said, hey, I made this for you. You don't have to pay me for it or anything. I just thought you'd appreciate it. But if you want me to keep doing stuff like this, let's have a conversation. And that ended up over the course of months, turning into a full-time, deal with him and a project, and it paid off. And so that kind of mindset, it's just consistently doing the hard things that, a lot of others may not be willing to do.
Yeah, love it. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it makes me feel well, it's hard. so that it's hard, but it is fun. It's fun getting the results from that hard work.
Yeah. I think it's a really good thing to teach in the virtual space, Erik, if you do decide you want to. I think it's a really good space to teach people who are interested in serving and a way to serve effectively. It's a really nice thing to package as well. This is how
Absolutely.
We serve, yeah. So, okay, so you've been doing this. Suggest to someone that's listening why they should even consider the idea of servant leadership, if you would.
Yeah, so that comes down to empathy. So the reason I approach things this way is because I have empathy for the other person and their interests. I'm sure you've come across them, we all have, where people come to us and it's clear their number one objective is their interest. And it just puts you at odds with that person. And so it could be a partner that you work with, it could be a client, it could be a customer, it could be a lot of different people that you interact with. But if they're approaching you from a selfish standpoint, you're not going to want to work together. You're not going to want to do the thing they want you to do. Whereas if you approach someone with empathy and actually deliver value to them first, keeping in mind that in the long run, the thing that you want could be a natural byproduct of the way you're approaching them, you're more destined to win. Yeah. And so that's why I operate from that standpoint.
Love it. Amazing audience. Hey, I say love it a lot, but yeah, definitely love the value that Erik is bringing here. Well, we are live again with Erik Jacobson. You could definitely check him out at BeMyGuest.fm. Erik, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful warm blue Caribbean water. Erik, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Oh man. Yeah, I'd probably say I was about 3 or 4 years old, and I vividly remember walking up over the sand dunes for the first time ever and seeing the ocean, like for the first time in my entire life, and just being in complete awe of like how big it was. I was literally like stopped dead in my tracks and just could not believe how big it was and how endless it was and how vast it was. And so it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So you're like 2 or 3. Why do you think this memory is so clear?
Probably just being the first time I saw something of that magnitude, and just being inspired by it, and just being shocked by it. Growing up in the city and stuff. I mean, we went on vacation to the beach, and then going up over the sand dune and seeing that, it was just like, whoa. I can't even comprehend it.
Yeah. That's intriguing. Well, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind?
Absolutely.
I just love the idea of the journey that is represented in the memory, if you would. I love the idea that the sand dune. I mean, you're walking, right, and you're not seeing the sea, right? But it's really intriguing that you have to do the work before you are able to see the value, if you would, to see the thing that would bring the greatest enlightenment, the thing that would then in turn give value. And then the vastness of the sea in itself and how it serves, that silent humility type format. It's just there, right? I mean, sometimes it could be really terrible, right? But in your image, it's like you get over there and then you see this vastness of strength, if you would, and to see you at that age just being encapsulated by that, it's pretty impressive.
Wow, that was amazing. I feel like I owe you money for that right now. That was good. That was good.
Yeah, it's cool.
I love it.
You're welcome. If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
12, that was probably at the height of Will Smith, and I think he had Getting Jiggy With It out at that time, so I was a Will Smith fan, and that was a good song.
Yeah, it was definitely. It is, yeah. Well, it all connects, right? It's like, you get over the sand dunes and you're like, yeah, getting jiggy with it, right?
It does. It all connects.
Well, Erik, we have arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form, so it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Erik, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Not yet.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
No.
Well, you said that, right? You said that. Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Yeah, with the computer and work, yep, that's more than 8.
All right, Erik, after 1,001 conversations in 3 months in 2016, I came up with a workbook. The name of it is called Yours. It stands for your own unique real self. The idea being you go through the reflective self-discovery questions similar to these, right? And then you identify, hopefully, your own unique real statement, which is really like your mission statement. If you, Erik, had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Erik Jacobson, what would you say that is?
Great question. Probably you are the solution.
Yeah.
And so
you are the solution of that.
You are the solution. I mean, a lot of times it feels like, you're looking for someone else to help you with your problems, or you're waiting for someone to help you and solve your problem. I think that just is a waste of time and it's distracting you from actually solving the problem. So if you approach every problem from the standpoint of I am my own solution, you'd probably figure it out a lot quicker than if you were sitting around waiting for somebody else to help you out with it.
Yeah, love it. It's a really cool acronym too as well, right? It's like YAT, right?
Yep.
You are the solution. Hey, but Erik, this was a great pleasure, my friend. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a great conversation. And yeah, I mean, if you're looking to promote your business, podcast guest appearances is obviously a great way to do that. And if you want to connect with us on that, feel free to hit us up at bemyguest.fm. And we also put together a directory of the best business podcasts ever that we curated over thousands of episodes, and that's at startupmixtape.fm.
Love it. Erik Jacobson, my friend, again, great pleasure. I'll tell you, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thanks so much, Angel. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.